The Anvil hammer is one of the best new weapons in the Elden Ring DLC. It's a badass looking colossal hammer that scales well with physical damage and even comes with a decent amount of fire damage. The Ash of War is pretty mid though, so I decided to utilize its charged heavy attacks and jumping attacks to dish out our damage. And oh boy, is it a lot of frickin' damage. Some of the numbers I was seeing with this thing rivaled even that of bleed builds, sometimes even more. And not only that, each boss got staggered at least once during each fight, making for super quick second phases. In fact, most fights took around 5 good hits before their HP was down to 0. The best bonk build is probably still using the Blood Fiend's arm, but this would be right behind it in terms of damage and power. If you're tired of playing bleed builds like I am all the time and want to change it up a bit, then this is the build for you. And with that being said, let's get into the guide. Okay, so first things first, if you don't know how to get an item, if you don't know how to find a weapon or an armor piece or a talisman or a spell for this build, listen to me, just Google it. Just Google it. Google will be able to tell you much more efficiently than I can. Or you just use the Elden Ring wiki. That's the website that I use to find everything that I need. So just do that, okay? Anyway, here's the build. We are level 161. Very doable, okay? And our main weapon is the Anvil hammer, a special weapon, meaning it uses somber smithing stones, okay? It comes with the Ash of War smithing art spears. Again, didn't really use this much. Actually, I didn't use it at all. I only utilized the charged heavy attacks and the jumping attacks of this weapon because they just hit so goddamn hard. Also, the Ash of War is like a two-parter, and it was even slower than the heavy attack for me. So I wasn't a fan of it. But if you wanted to use it, then I'm sure you could change out some talismans. But for me, I just went with the charged heavy attacks and the jumping attacks. Okay, so boom. Again, if you don't know where to get this, just Google it. Alright, but this is our main weapon. This is what the build is made around of. As you can see, the physical damage is insane, and the fire damage even scales well too. Okay, alright, and I believe the fire damage scales with the level of the weapon, the upgrade, and the faith, which is why we have a little bit of faith over here. You know what I'm saying? So boom, that's the weapon. And for the secondary, always got to have the finger seal. Okay, just so we can cast our incantations, and of course the seal does not matter what you use if you're just using it for buffs. Okay, I don't really use incantations for damage. I will make a faith build every now and then where you do need to upgrade your seal and use a different seal that it matters, but finger seal, I think you can obtain it in the beginning of the game, right, from the fucking from the two-headed old woman in the round table or something like that. But yeah, we just want to use it to cast our buffs, which are Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. And Flame Grant Me Strength, you've probably seen that spell used a lot. It actually double dips into this build because it's physical and fire buffs, so even better. Okay, so boom, that's the weapon. That's the secondary weapon. For the armor set, of course, we're going to use some Rakshasa's pieces. It's just the best armor set. It comes with decent poise. You know, it adds like 2% damage per piece. It's kind of hard not to use. But if you rather use, you know, a more fashionable set, that's all good. That's fine. Go ahead. Use like a Fire Knight set or use Mesmer's set. That's all good. All right. But, you know, I like doing the damages. So I'm probably going to be using Rakshasa set a lot throughout this DLC. But for the armor piece, we're actually not using a Rakshasa set. We're using the Gravebird's Black Quill armor. You can also use the Raptor's Black Feathers. And this armor set, these two armor sets, buff jumping attacks. Yes, while I was playing this build, I noticed the charged heavy attacks sometimes was a bit slow in between, you know, the boss's attacks or the downtime between boss's attacks. And sometimes I couldn't fit a fully charged R2 heavy. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? How about a jumping heavy attack, which still does a lot of damage and still does a lot of good stance damage. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I also had a free talisman slot that I couldn't figure out to use. So using the Claw Talisman, which also enhances jumping attacks, and the armor set that also boost jumping attacks. It just kind of made sense, and yeah, it definitely did well. Let's just say that. Every boss died so fast. Okay, I'm pretty sure I finished the DLC in less than like an hour, easy. All right, so boom, that's the armor set. For the talismans, the axe talisman, obviously, because we're again charged heavy attack builds, some of the best builds in the game. You can also Blood Fiend's Arm, Starfist, so many builds, Serpent Hunter, so many builds use charged attacks. Some of my favorite builds even too. And so of course we got to use the axe talisman. And then I just explained the cloud talisman, jump attacks. Sometimes you can't fit a charged heavy attack. Jump R2 still does a shit ton of damage. Okay, so boom. And one of the new talismans in the game, two-handed sword talismans, which only work for regular attacks. Okay, you can find this on the Elden Ring wiki. This does not work for Ash of Wars. This does not work for skills. This only works for regular attacks, like a charged heavy attack build, like a jump attack build, which I combine both, by the way. So yeah, I just want to make that clear. I've seen some videos where people are putting this on like Ash of War builds, and I'm like, hey, that doesn't work. So yeah. So boom, there goes that. And of course, the last talisman slot is another damage booster. Whenever I could find builds that get significantly boosted through perfect 4 talismans, those are the kind of builds I'm leaning towards. As you can see, that's why a lot of bleed builds are very common, because of Lord of Blood's Exaltation and Shadow of Alexander and stuff like that. But so yeah, this build, all 4 talismans significantly boost the damage of what we're doing. Okay, but we do take a bit more damage wearing this, but who cares? Who really cares? All right, kill before get killed, huh? So boom, this buffs the fire damage of the weapon, which is a good amount. I tested with low faith and high strength, and I tested with medium strength and medium faith, and medium strength and medium faith did like significantly more damage. So yes, the fire damage scales pretty damn well with this weapon. All right, so yeah, that's the weapon, that's the armor set, that's the talismans. Let's go to the physic. What physics am I using? All right, spike crack tier, obviously using this for the charge attacks. No-brainer there. And the secondary one is the flame shouting crack tier. Another option is, of course, the blood sucking crack tier, which will pretty much give you the same amount of damage. But you know, charged heavy attacks, even the jump attacks aren't super fast. You're gonna get hit. All right, you're gonna get hit because you miscalculate just how fast your charged heavy attack comes out, and you're gonna get hit. And if you get hit once or twice while with this tier on, you're probably gonna die, even with a lot of HP, especially if you're me, who is a bad player. Okay, so for me, I just went with a more consistent option, which is the flame shouting crack tier, which again boosts the fire damage even more. You see what we're doing here? We're combining the physical damage and the fire damage, and we're just doing a lot of fucking damage. All right, so boom. As far as the stagger damage, it already comes innate with the weapon. Colossal weapons have some of the biggest stance damage in the game. So your charged heavies and your jumping heavies will already be doing 30-20 stance damage. And over time, again, each boss got staggered at least once, including Radon. All right, who has a lot of stance, by the way. Does he have like 200 stance, some shit like that? Crazy. So yeah, those are the main damage boosters. All right, let's go to the spells that we use. So because we have a high level of faith, we can use Golden Vow as an incantation. And by the way, if you didn't know, the incantation of Golden Vow is a better version than the Ash of War Golden Vow. All right, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the numbers are higher and the buff lasts longer. I could be wrong, but I know one of those is true, or maybe both of those is true. Okay, so boom, Golden Vow. Best Ash of War in the game? Question mark? I mean, what build doesn't use Golden Vow? Can someone answer that for me? What build doesn't use Golden Vow? Because it buffs everything. It buffs your damage negation and your damage. So if you're not using Golden Vow in your build, I don't know. I feel sorry for you. But yeah, so obviously we use Golden Vow. But our actually even better damage option is Flame Grant Me Strength. Now, if there's any build that Flame Grant Me Strength belongs in, it is definitely this one. Because, again, we use a lot of physical damage, and we use a lot of fire damage. And this boosts both of them shits. So this is A1 for this build. Alright, so boom. That's the spells. Let's go to the Great Rune that I use. Again, if you've seen my videos before, the Great Rune that I plan to use pretty much forever is the Radahn's Great Rune, mainly because I'm not dependent on it. I don't know about you guys, but you know, there's very few rune arcs throughout the game. There's like 20-ish. Okay, if you're playing solo, not online, that is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm probably dying more than 20 times in a playthrough. You know, unless I'm using an OP, some super OP weapon like this one, I'm probably dying more than 20 times. So that means my rune arcs will run out. And I don't like depending on my Great Rune. Because obviously we all know the best Great Rune is the Godric's Great Rune. Alright, I mentioned this every video and I feel like it's very important to mention. I don't want to depend on this. I don't want to depend on this. The only time where I would depend on using this Great Rune is if I'm doing like a level 1 build. You know what I mean? Or like a deathless run. Then that's fine. But in a normal run, in a casual run, I'm gonna use Radahn's Great Rune because it's just nice to have. It's not dependent, but it's nice to have. HP, FP, and stamina. Why not? Why not? All right, so let's move on to the stats. Sure, yeah, let's move on to the stats. So yeah, we are level 161. Very doable, very easy. You should be at least level 150 in the Elden Ring DLC. All right, and if you killed a few bosses, you're probably 161 by now. Okay, it's really not hard to get to 161. Very easy to do. And here are the stats that they come with. So 60 vigor. 60 vigor is a breakpoint for most builds, especially that I use, because it is a soft cap for vigor and is a nice amount of HP to have to where you won't get one shot by pretty much all the abilities that the bosses have in the game. So 60 vigor, boom. 15 mind, again, a nice comfy spot for me. 15 mind means I can cast all my buffs. I don't have to worry about it, just in case if I have to recast buffs during the fight, I can do that with just one mana pot, no problem. Okay, so 15 mind, I like that. It's a nice cushion for me to have. I feel very comfortable using 15 mind. All right, because it gives me around like 100 mana. Next is the endurance. You know, if anything, if you wanted to take some points off of mind or anything else in this build, I might put into endurance, because one of the things that I was struggling with was the endurance part, because charged heavy attacks and jumping heavies, they take a lot of endurance, right? So, but I was able to space it out enough to beat each boss. But if you're struggling a lot, by all means, take some points out of mind, put them in endurance for more stamina. But 30 endurance for me is nice for most, if not all builds. Okay. Next is one of our main stats, strength. Okay, 50 strength. 50 is one of the soft caps for physical attack power, so that's why it's there. Pretty simple. Okay, 15 intelligence. So this looks weird, I know. 15 intelligence. Why? Well, the weapon requires 11 intelligence to wield, and I like seeing things in you know, in groups of 5, like 10, 15, 20, just because it's my mini OCD type shit. So I put intelligence at 15, but if you wanted to put it at 11 to wear the weapon, that's totally fine too. I just like seeing 5s and 0s. I don't know about you guys. So boom, that's why intelligence is 15. And of course our co-primary stat is faith, which this part scales the fire damage of the weapon. And of course lets us cast our incantations, Golden Vow, and Flame Grant Strength. So that's why that's there. Level 161, beat the game under an hour very easily. Alright? And there you go. That's it. That's the video. That's the build. That's the Anvil hammer, baby. And that's a wrap. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hey man, if you like this video, if you appreciate the build, if you're enjoying using this weapon, or if you're just enjoying the Elden Ring DLC in general, like I am, holy shit, it's a lot of fun. Why don't you go and give it a like? You know what I'm saying? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? If you want to catch any live gameplay, I do have a Twitch channel. Twitch.tv/CodaKobe. I also plan to multi-stream over here on the YouTubes. I just gotta figure out how to do it. It's some kind of technical difficulty tech shit that I gotta try, but it's definitely possible. I'm trying to do that. And yeah man, listen, Elden Ring's a lot of fun. I still got a lot of build guides planned. I still got a lot of challenges I want to try to do, like, you know, New Game Plus 7 run, Rune Level 1 run, shit like that. Deathless, maybe Deathless. I still die a little too many times to Radahn, okay, because he's just him, you know. But we're figuring out every build guide, it's kind of funny. Every build guide I make, obviously I fight these bosses again and again and again, and I feel like I'm definitely getting better at each boss. So maybe eventually I might feel comfortable to do a deathless run. Who knows? But you know, maybe I should leave that to the pros, leave that to those who are actually built differently, because I still die a little more than I should. All right, but anyway, still a lot of fun. And again, if you guys enjoy the shit, subscribe to the channel here, follow my Twitch, all that good stuff. And hey, I'll see y'all on the next Elden Ring video guide, something like that. All right, peace.